Good morning. It is Tuesday at 9 a.m. Welcome back to another edition of the Merkle Market Update. I'm Merkle of Merkle Retirement Planning. Our whole goal for these segments is to give you not only information, but information that you can use, meaningful information you can use to help improve what you're trying to do from a retirement planning standpoint. Information is everywhere. But now it's how do you apply this information to really help enhance what you're trying to do to get to and through retirement. So we've created a team of superheroes, a team of retirement planning superheroes that have superpowers. One of these superheroes that we've identified is the Health Savings Account, or HSA, which is our topic today. We've created, on our TV show, we've done a series of TV shows about these superheroes. So if you want to check these out, we're talking about superheroes like the Roth IRA, life insurance, taxable accounts, as well as the HSA. So if you want to check that out, you can check it out at our YouTube channel. Type in Merkle Retirement Planning. You're going to see most of those. The Roth IRA is out there. We're going to put up the HSA, and these others are going to come here shortly. Also, we have a podcast that we've talked about the HSA and these other superheroes as well. You can download our podcast anywhere you download podcasts if you want a whole show about each one of these different superheroes and their superpowers. So the superpowers that the HSA has. First of all, what is the HSA? It's a health savings account. You can use it in conjunction with your high deductible healthcare plan. These high deductible healthcare plans have been incredibly popular over the last 8 years because health insurance premiums are so expensive for traditional healthcare plans. So a lot of you out there have a high deductible healthcare plan, which means you qualify to have a health savings account. You can set up the health savings account. A lot of times, especially bigger employers will offer the HSA for you. If they don't offer it, then you can set it up at most banks or other large custodians such as Fidelity, Vanguard, T. Rowe Price, TD Ameritrade, etc. The HSA, you can contribute up to certain limits throughout the course of each year if you qualify for the HSA. Now, one of the biggest questions we get on the HSA is what can you use it for, and how should you use it in your pre-retirement years and then in your retirement years? And we're going to cover a specific strategy that you might want to pay attention to and see if it works well for you in your retirement plan. So first of all, what can you use the HSAs for? There are a number of different things you can use it for: co-pays, medications, Medicare Part B premiums, as well as chiropractic care. That's one that a lot of people don't realize. If you go to a chiropractor, you have chiropractic needs, you can use distributions from the HSA for those expenses. Other expenses you can use it for: vision expenses, dental, and then long-term care premiums. Long-term care premiums. Long-term care, that risk is a big concern for a lot of pre-retirees and retirees because it's so expensive. If you need long-term care, you might have to spend $4,000 up to $10,000 a month for that care. So one of the ways to offset that expense is through long-term care insurance. But long-term care insurance premiums are not fun to pay. So you can use HSA distributions to pay for those long-term care premiums if you choose to. Now, why is the HSA such a superhero? What are the superpowers? The primary superpowers are the triple tax benefits associated with the HSA, meaning that when you contribute to the HSA, you can deduct that contribution, much like what happens with your 401k plan. When you contribute to your 401k plan, those are contributions you're not paying taxes on if it's on the pre-tax side of the 401k. With the HSA, you can deduct those taxes, decreasing your tax bill for the year. Those contributions grow tax-free, and then as long as when you take the money out and you use it for qualified medical expenses, one of these, then you don't have to pay taxes on those distributions either. So you have the triple tax benefit. So on our TV show, even on this Facebook Live segments, I've talked about the powers of the Roth IRA. As powerful as the tax-free growth of the Roth IRA is, the HSA is even more so. Because with the Roth IRA, you do not get the tax deduction on the contribution like you do the HSA. So the HSA, not only do you not have to pay taxes on that growth ever, but the money that goes into it, you don't have to pay taxes on either. So it's even more powerful from a tax standpoint than even the superhero Roth IRA. So from a tax standpoint, it is one of our biggest friends when it comes to tax planning. This is not an exhaustive list of what you can use distributions for and qualify for the medical expense. I found a website, it's called HSAcenter.com, that has a much more exhaustive list. If you want to go out there, you can see all the different expenses you can use these distributions for. Or of course, if you want to go to irs.gov, look underneath 502 publication, and they have a list for you as well. So there's a lot of sites out there that have a list. You can use these distributions on a lot of different qualifying expenses. Contribution limits for 2020 for an individual. You can contribute up to $3,550 this year. If you have a household that qualifies, you can contribute up to $7,100. And then if you are age 55 or older, each individual has an additional $1,000 contribution ability for the HSA for 2020. And that increases typically every year with inflation. This year we got an extra $50 for an individual, an extra $100 increase for households. So we'll see what the increase may be for 2021. This is one of the things we have to pay attention to on an annual basis to make sure that we take full advantage of this superhero because of those triple tax benefits. How can you invest the HSAs? This is a question I get quite a bit as well. What kinds of investments can you use? A lot of us are familiar with the HSAs at the bank, and a lot of the banks are going to offer us a savings account or maybe a CD, some type of guarantee type of investment, which in today's environment is not growing all that much because they're not giving us a lot for that. But if you use a bank who has a securities division, a broker-dealer, or if you go to one of these bigger custodians like a Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, or Vanguard, they will offer you the ability to invest in just about anything you want to. So if you want a more guaranteed type of investment, great. If you want stocks or bonds or mutual funds or ETFs, that will be available to you as well. So how does the HSA grow? The HSA is the tax shelter. It is the shell or the umbrella that protects your investment from the taxes. And then it's the actual investment vehicle that you choose to use underneath of it that is going to provide that growth. Now, obviously, if you're investing in something guaranteed, it's not going to be able to lose based on the guarantees that investment provides. If you invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, any of those at-risk investments, it could grow if those do well, or you could lose money on those also. So it depends on the types of investments that you choose to use underneath this tax superpower umbrella that will determine what kind of growth you are going to receive on the HSA. Now, one of the strategies to consider, so if you're in the pre-retirement phase and you have decent cash flow, enough cash flow to cover what you need from a lifestyle standpoint, here's a big consideration for you of how to use the HSA. Perhaps consider not using the HSA to cover any of those qualifying medical expenses that you have while you're working and you have that cash flow. Take advantage of the superpower, the triple tax threat of the superpower, and allow that money to compound tax-free for when you retire. Because in retirement, you will be able to use the HSA. You've seen how many different options you have to use that as a qualifying expense so you don't have to pay taxes on it. So most likely, you will be able to use the HSA throughout the course of your retirement when your W-2 wages have gone away and now you're dependent upon your investable assets to support your lifestyle. And in the meantime, you can take advantage of that tax-free compounding as you go to the retirement phase. So I would consider that if you're working, you have good cash flow to support your lifestyle, don't take the distributions or consider not taking the distributions from your HSA. Allow it to compound for when you retire, the W-2 wages go away, and then you can use that in conjunction with your other investable assets to help you support the lifestyle. Now, what happens if you never use the money underneath your HSA? This is one area where a lot of people get confused with the HSA, because we used to have these flexible spending accounts, the FSAs. And with a lot of those FSAs, it was a use it or lose it type of an account where if you didn't use it by the end of the year, that money was gone. So a lot of people would be trying to spend that money in December, so they just didn't lose it. The HSA doesn't work that way. The HSA, that is your money. So if you don't use it throughout the course of your life, you pass away, you have a designated beneficiary, that money goes to that designated beneficiary. So you don't have that risk of the use it or lose it type of scenario. That is a pretty good demonstration of the superpowers of the HSA. I hope you enjoyed that. Consider using the HSA if you have a high deductible plan. As always, if you have any questions or you'd like to take advantage of our complimentary retirement checkup phone call with me, there's a link on this that you can click on, and that will take you direct to my calendar where you can set up that 15-minute complimentary retirement checkup phone call. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. We will see you next week, Tuesday at 9 a.m. on another edition of the Merkle Market Update.